I'm Donnie Robertson. I'm Vice President of Marketing here at Express Ranches in Yukon, Oklahoma. Follow along as we tour our show barn. We're glad to have you. Well, obviously this is our show barn. This is where all of our show calves are kept and maintained and worked on throughout the year. 94 to 96 is kind of when we got started really showing cattle. And so this barn was here and it was empty. There wasn't anything in here. This facility was attached to our sale barn. So we needed a show barn, obviously, and so we kind of built it from scratch. It wasn't ideal. We had to pour the curbs and kind of raise the floor here. The barn does kind of slope a little bit, but we decided this was a good place for a show barn. And so there's roughly 23 pens in this barn. Primarily we like to use cedar fiber for bedding, kind of keep the calves comfortable. This barn does have an air conditioning unit component to it. It's not like what most of you guys would consider a cool room, but when it's 105 like it's been this last summer, we can kind of keep it 85 to 90 degrees in here when in the peak of the heat. Every pen has a fan on it, which is very important. We try to keep it as clean as we can and as sanitary as we can. We've got a really good crew that their main job is this show barn. Yeah, and over here is our wash rack. This is where, of course, obviously, is where we wash and rinse everything every day. We're able to wash 2 head at one time if we need to. We've had cattle in this barn, gosh, for 27 years. And so things wear out. The concrete actually was wearing out. So we put the rubber matting down, which helps the cushion of the cattle, helps them from slipping. Our process would be our cattle come in the barn and get penned every morning. And then when everything gets settled, we'll catch the cattle, we'll lead them to the wash rack, we'll rinse them off really good, we'll comb them up here, and then we'll take them back to their pens to blow them out. Of course, in the wintertime, summertime, we like to brush on them a lot. The show barn itself is not heated, but this room is. And so in the wintertime, this main big door is closed and we enter and exit out of the side doors. And so we can keep a little heat in here. We try to make sure everything here is very functional. This barn is not only just for show cattle, but it's also for our sale cattle. For our sales, about 2 weeks before the sale, our show cattle are moved to another location, and this is primarily used to prepare the sale cattle. And during the sale, this is where they're housed, so people will come in here and look. At night, when the cattle leave the barn, we usually bring them out in groups, and they come down this alleyway, and they come out here, and so this is where they live during the evening. As you can see, this is just like a wagon wheel. This is where we'll pen the cattle at night. We feed outside both in the morning and the evening. We have gates on the other end of the smaller pen. And so when they come in, we shut those gates. We let them eat, we'll go back to the barn, kind of prepare it to get ready. And then the boys will come out here and the cattle are right here in these pens, so they don't have to walk all the way back to the far fence to get them. Fortunately, here in Oklahoma, we don't have a lot of freezing, but we do use a lot of mirror founts that prevent them from freezing up in the winter. Several years ago, we planted all these trees. It's been tremendous in terms of helping not only the cattle, but also the crew. We ranch not only here in Yukon, but we have another ranch that's roughly 8 miles from here that's probably 3,000 acres. And it's primarily where we wean all of our calves, and also our recipient herd is kept there. So when we wean at all of our ranches, all the weaned calves go there. We build a little pen around the shade trees, of course, to protect the trees, so the cattle won't rub on them. I believe it's important on the show cattle side that you keep these cattle somewhat being cattle. I think too much confinement, they can become stale and just, they need to be out. They need to be out where they're supposed to be, kind of out here in these pens. So we can turn these cattle out a little earlier than some at night because we do have the shade. You know, the one thing that we try to do here at Express is to make everybody's trip here an enjoyable experience. We built these so the folks that were out here in this pen, for example, looking at the cattle, didn't have to walk all the way to the center of the hub to get through a gate to go through another pen. So with these crossovers, it's simple. You just walk over and go to the next pen. The one thing about our ownership, and Bob has always been adamant, he wanted the employees and the cattle itself to have great facilities. And so I guess for us, the show barn on the show side is probably something that we believe is second to none. That's probably something that we couldn't do without doing what we do, because again, the show side of Express Ranches is just one more component of what we do here, but it's so important. It generates a lot of income for us, but more importantly, it brings together a great group of young people and their parents, and which is something that we're very passionate about. I'm Donnie Robertson. I certainly appreciate the time that we've got to share with everyone here at Express Ranches.